I was born and raised in an old steel mill town outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. My parents were both educators. My dad was a high school principal and a high school teacher, and my mom was a high school guidance counselor. So when I went off to college, I knew one thing, which is I did not want to be a teacher. I majored in systems engineering, mainly because I had an interest in math and problem solving. And when I graduated, I really wasn't sure what to do with my systems engineering, so I took a job as a management consultant. And then after some time and reflection, I started asking kind of the big questions we might ask of, what am I trying to get out of my career? Where do I see my kind of lifelong contribution being? And it was at that time I started to reflect back on my parents' choices of being teachers and educators, and perhaps with a little bit of more maturity, seeing the nobility in being a teacher and the influence you can have on lives. I was also very influenced by a number of professors that I had had during my undergraduate years, and you could always see the passion they had for teaching and for their subjects, and they had the desire to kind of be in that job for their entire lives even. And that's what I wanted. I wanted a job in which I was so passionate about I didn't want to retire, never wanted to retire from it. So I began looking at PhD programs with the idea of becoming a professor, and I found one at MIT called Technology, Management, and Policy. Now, when I was an undergraduate, I had an interest and had studied around environmental issues and environmental systems, and that really comes out of a passion I've had for the outdoors since I was a child, always on the water, spent time kayaking in high school, rock climbing, other outdoor activities. And that fed into my interest in environmental challenges that we faced and how we could advance ourselves as a society in terms of these environmental challenges. So during my course of study, I had a thesis in which I looked at the risk of hazardous material accidents in large chemical plants and large chemical companies. And what became clear to me as I was doing that work, that it really wasn't a technical or engineering issue at the end of the day. It was really a management economics challenge. What were the incentives the firms had to manage these risks, to address these environmental challenges? And that in part is what made me interested in this program at MIT, in that it was bringing together people with technical background with a training in economics and social science more broadly as it applies to major policy issues. So for me, as I enrolled in the program, I got involved very early on with a group called Technology, Business, and Environment. It was a research center. I was a research associate with it. And in many ways, it summarizes where my interest and passion are as a scholar. I'm very much interested in how we advance on environmental issues, but less so from a traditional public policy way, but really thinking about how does business approach these issues. Early on in my career, I looked at issues around industry self-regulation. When would firms unilaterally address some of these environmental challenges? And then a few years back, I had, maybe we call it an epiphany, that while large corporations are an important part of the story, there's another part, which is entrepreneurs, which could really be a critical force for developing new technologies and disrupting industries in advancement of these environmental challenges we face. So for the past years, I've been really focusing on how those innovators and entrepreneurs address these environmental challenges. So where I find myself today is I'm a faculty who teaches business strategy. I'm involved with our Institute for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, and I continue to do research on what we now refer to as corporate sustainability on a number of different domains. And I think at the end of the day, what I've learned and what I rarely recognize is that my parents had it right at the beginning. This is a profession, being a teacher, that I'm passionate about, and I just feel so fortunate that I've made this choice and to be able to engage with students and be in this wonderful academic environment.